The Saints are in Houston to take on a rookie quarterback who's been perfect through 5 with no turnovers. Can the Saints D shake the second overall pick and string together back-to-back wins? Cue up the second line. It's time for a Texas-sized showdown. Welcome into Saints Gameday, live here on NewOrleansSaints.com. I'm Erin Summers. John DeShazer will join us in Houston shortly as we are approaching that 12 o'clock kick between the Saints and Texans on Fox. Now, wide receiver Michael Thomas has been Derek Carr's most consistent option. He leads the team with 26 receptions, and he's averaging 57 receiving yards per game. He's the feature of our poll question today. How many receiving yards do you think wide receiver Michael Thomas will have in this one? Make sure you scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen to vote in the poll, and we will circle back, check in on it at the end of the show. Now, let's check in with John DeShazer, who is at NRG Stadium in Texas.
Well, thank you, Erin, and good morning from NRG Stadium here in Houston, where the Texans are trying to even their record at 3-3. And if they're going to do that, it'll be behind offense, and it'll be behind the rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, who has looked like anything but a rookie, Aaron. Right now, C.J. Stroud coming into this game, 114 of 186 passing, 1,461 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, that's an NFL record for opening a career with 186 attempts and no interceptions. He's only been sacked 11 times, and those were in the first 2 games of the season. The last 3 games, he has not been sacked by an opponent. So the Saints, if they're going to have some success, will have to get after C.J. Stroud and hopefully make him appear to be a rookie. His favorite target, wide receiver Nico Collins. Right now, 25 catches, 467 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging 18.7 yards a catch. That's the 4th best figure in the NFL. He's a big target, 6'4", 215 pounds. So the Saints will have to match up with him physically because he's a guy who can take the hits across the middle and take it the distance. The running game for the Texans has not been so productive this season, only averaging 83 yards a game. Dameon Pierce, the leading rusher, 247 yards on 84 carries, 1 touchdown. And the Saints have been able to take away the run lately and make a team one-dimensional on offense. That's something they'll seek to do again today against the Texans. Now, defensively, this is a DeMeco Ryans defense, which means they are fast and they fly around. They're led on the defensive line by Jonathan Grenard, 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 6 tackles for loss. They want to get after the Saints quarterback, Derek Carr. Can the Saints protect Carr again today? And also quarterback Steven Nelson, 2 interceptions, 4 passes defensed. Who will he match up against in the Saints receiving corps? Because the Saints have a lot of weapons in the receiving corps, so can they be effective offensively against this Texans team? Well, that's it here from Houston at NRG Stadium. Back to you, Erin.
Thanks, John. Looking forward to checking in with you after the game, which we are hoping is going to be a Saints win. Now, to talk about the Saints, it's time for our countdown to kickoff presented by Little Caesars. Offensively, there's been a report that there will be a little shakeup on the offensive line, where left guard James Hurst is going to be moved to left tackle in place of Trevor Penning. With the hole there now at left guard, it is going to be up to either Andrus Peat or Max Garcia to fill that spot, which makes the communication and the attention to detail even that much more important in this one. Running back Alvin Kamara said this week during Open Locker Room, well, if the Saints can get their run game going and open up the pass game, that's when things get really scary. And that's what the Saints are planning to do today. They had their largest output on the ground last week against New England at 136 yards. So they want to get that ground game going to open up the pass game, and hopefully they can connect on some of those big pass plays. I know Derek Carr is looking forward to getting a lot of those offensive weapons involved today. Defensively, the Saints need to rattle quarterback C.J. Stroud, who has thrown for 186 passes without a single interception. And yes, that is a record for a quarterback to start off their career. Stroud has only taken 11 sacks, and he's thrown for 7 touchdowns, so he's been very efficient. The Saints defensively really want to apply that pressure up front, and it starts with defensive end Carl Granderson. He's had 3.5 sacks on the season. When the Saints have Carl Granderson getting a sack since 2022, they are 6-0. So production from Granderson equals good things for the Saints. For special teams, well, kicker Blake Grupe was the NFC Specialist of the Week last week. I talked to him in the locker room and he said, yeah, I just got to go out there and do it again. So that's what we're looking for from the rookie Blake Grupe. Another performance like last week's where he accounted for 10 points, had 2 field goals over 50 yards, and then he had 4 extra points. So, I mean, we don't need exactly that, but yes, definitely want him to hit all of his field goals and extra points. Earlier this week, John DeShazer was able to catch up with head coach Dennis Allen. So let's hear Coach Allen's thoughts going into this game against the Texans.
Well, Coach, you guys are coming off a shutout, 34-0 over New England, but you said there were some kind of things that you wanted to tighten up. What were some of those things you wanted to see tightened up?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, I think we missed some opportunities. I think we had some opportunities offensively and defensively to make some big plays that I think we left out there on the table. In a different type of ball game, that comes back to affect you. I think we got to clean up some of the penalties, particularly the pre-snap things that we have total control of. Some of the judgment calls that officials make, we don't necessarily totally control that. But the things that happen prior to the snap, that's all under our control. We got to clean those things up.
Houston's quarterback, C.J. Stroud, a rookie, but 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's had a pretty clean season so far. What are you seeing from their offense?
Yeah, look, I think C.J. Stroud's been playing exceptionally well. I think he's doing a good job of operating their offense. They're getting the ball out, getting the ball to their playmakers. I just think he's playing at a really high level, and I think their offense is going to be a real challenge for us.
The head coach, DeMeco Ryans, a notable defensive coordinator. What have you seen from their defense so far?
Exactly what I would think that I would see from a DeMeco Ryans coach defense. Fundamentally sound, don't give up a lot of big plays. They play really hard. They're an aggressive front. They try to get after the quarterback up front. And so I just think that, that mindset and the way that they play, I think is kind of that's the way you want to coach your teams.
Saints are 2-1 on the road so far this season, basically doubling up the opposition, 24-12. What's the secret to being a successful road team?
Yeah, look, I think it's just about you and your guys going into a hostile environment and really just focusing on doing your job. And really, once the game starts, it's really about execution. And so that's really what our focus has been.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
In this week's Player Spotlight, What's Brewing, presented by Community Coffee, I was able to talk to linebacker Pete Werner. He had his first career interception in last week's game against New England, and hey, he's hoping that the production continues. Welcome to What's Brewing, presented by Community Coffee. I'm here with linebacker Pete Werner, Marin Summers. Pete, you had your first interception last game. What was going through your mind when that whole thing happened? Because it was a deflected ball. I mean, it wasn't just like the ball came right to you.
That's right. I was actually shocked, but somebody told me that if you keep running the ball, it'll eventually pay off. Moments, but I don't see it as luck because I do pride myself on running the ball all the time, and ended up showing up right in my hands, and it was huge in that moment. So I was very excited.
So it was your first interception in the NFL, but I think it's your first ever.
It is, yeah.
So, including college.
Including. The coverage, and I think depending on how the timing is disrupted, I think some players can get better opportunities than others. But I like how it's happening with a lot of different players because it's showing different players stepping up, and I think that's what we pride ourselves defensively is the consistency and the effort flying around to the ball and disrupting the whole timing piece.
Your dad played in the NFL for a couple seasons. What did you learn from him about playing at this level?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing was more mentality and work ethic and showing up and being accountable. That's kind of what he preaches to me all the time. He was one of those players where he would use his strong work ethic to make the team and go out and excel. And I think that with those words and what he's taught me, I live by that all the time throughout meetings and the game. It's always been huge to me. So just using that mental piece to then again affect how I play on the game.
I was looking at your Instagram. When did you become a model?
I am not a model.
You were modeling for a clothing company.
Yes, I signed a little month deal with Paige, and I had to post a story and an Instagram post. I was not comfortable with it, but
You look great.
Thank you. I wasn't comfortable with it, but people told me I looked good, but I didn't see that coming at all.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing good play on the field this weekend. Thank you so much for joining me for What's Brewing.
Awesome. Thank you.
I really appreciate Warner being a good sport because he did not expect that question about his modeling debut, and it was clearly a little uncomfortable about it. Let's check in and see who is in and out for today's game with our Inactives presented by Louisiana Cat. Going into this game, guard Andrews Pete was listed as questionable as he tweaked his groin earlier this week during practice. Does look like he's going to be able to play in today's game as he is not listed in the inactives list. There will be no safety JT Gray, who was injured at the end of the Patriots game last weekend. Again, the Saints are going to be without defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr., tight end Jawan Johnson, and tackle Landon Young. Now, Saints fans always travel well, and they are getting excited for this one at NRG Stadium in Houston. Always a good time to go out there and cheer on the Saints. So let's check in with the Saints faithful and our black and gold roll call presented by Bud Light.
My name is Claudia. I'm from Hempstead. Let's go, Saints Nation!
My name is Neri. I'm from Hempstead, Texas. Let's go, Saints! Hey, we are the Marie Silcox family from Houston, cheering on the New Orleans Saints as they take on the Houston Texans.
I'm Adeline from Fort Worth, and this is my first Saints road game.
My name is Mac. I just moved to Houston. This is my first Saints game. Go Saints.
My name is Tatiana Wells, and I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Sabrina Caldwell, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Adita Dawson, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Go Saints!
My name is Rayana. We're from Houston, Texas. We ready to watch the Saints. Go AK. Woo! Go Saints!
I think it was Matt, one of the Saints fans, who had on a Christmas hat. We are not even through Halloween yet. Still have Thanksgiving, so I don't know. It's a little early to see one of those hats, even though I did like it. This one kicks off at 12 o'clock on Fox as the Saints are taking on the Texans. The home team has actually won in all previous matchups. So 5 previous matchups, the home team has won in all of them. Hopefully the Saints can buck that trend today. Now we're going to check back in with our poll question, which was how many receiving yards do you think wide receiver Michael Thomas will have in today's matchup? He has been averaging 57 yards per game. Options were 0 to 40 yards, 41 to 80, 81 to 120, and then over 120 yards. 73% of the votes are for 81 to 120, which would be within his highest output of the season. So would love to see that. I know he was really harping on Derek Carr during the game last week to get some plays thrown his way to get a little more involved. So we'll see if they make it in to the play calls this week. Thank you so much for joining us on the pregame show. For John DeShazer, I'm Erin Summers. Enjoy this game, and we will see you in the postgame show right here on NewOrleansSaints.com. Go Saints!